Welcome back to the official CABSAT podcast powered by Northtelecom. Joining me now is Gerry Collins, who's a Network Product Management Director at Intelsat.
Correct.
Welcome, Gerry.
Thank you very much.
So why don't you tell our audiences a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Intelsat?
Yeah, okay. So my name is Gerry Collins from Intelsat. Now, Intelsat is a global satellite operator. We provide our telecommunication services globally. We are, in fact, the first of all the satellite communications companies because we were founded 60 years ago. And we are celebrating 60 years this year. So as a company, we provide satellite communications to really kind of 5 segments. I'll start off with commercial aviation. So we connect people in the back of airplanes. So often we've got 3,000 airliners all over the world that we provide connectivity to the passengers. We provide communications to government and defense. We provide what we call our media business, which is contribution and distribution of video. And then we connect, the fourth business would be connecting planes, trains, vehicles, ships, anything that moves. And then there's the business unit that I'm in, which is everything about connectivity for enterprises and telecommunications operators, including connecting to cell towers and IoT.
Okay, quite a big business, I have to say, and spanning across many industries. And happy birthday for the 60 years, I guess.
Thank you very much. Yeah, big party.
Yeah. So what products and services are you introducing at CABSAT this year?
So the one, there's probably two products and kind of services that we're really interested in launching here and talking to our customers about. The first is IoT. And, lots of people have IoT products and kind of wonder, well, satellite IoT, where could that fit in? And for us, it's really what we call industrial IoT. It's about the ability to monitor and do surveillance of large infrastructure. So generally infrastructure that's built often outside the cellular networks. Yeah. So we talk about, wind farms. We talk about oil and gas pipelines. We talk about water infrastructure. We talk about electrical infrastructure. All these areas where you've got significant investment, which are often outside of where you've got cellular communications. So being able to provide satellite connectivity, just, relatively low level of throughput, because all you want to know, is it alive? What's happening in that area? And so that industrial IoT applications, we're seeing a really, really growing market. And what we've got is traditionally people have often thought of satellite, these kind of parabolic dishes, which you have to point at the satellite. Yeah. The devices now we're talking about are just like this. They're flat, so you don't actually need to point them. So they're very easy to install, very easy to distribute. So that's one big area that we're focusing on. A lot of interest actually this morning. The other area is one of the big developments in satellite over the last couple of years is what we call the diversification of orbits. Yeah. 60 years ago, we launched all our satellites that were in the geostationary orbit. Very high, but they're fixed compared to the Earth. Yeah. What's happening now is you're seeing a lot of satellites being launched at low Earth orbits. And these are only somewhere between 500 and 1,000 kilometers up. And they provide obviously lower latency because the distance is shorter and sometimes higher speeds. And what we're talking to our customers now about is actually if you combine, yes, you've got great reliability from the higher up satellites, but then the lower satellites gives you lower latency. But actually if you can combine the two, that's what's really interesting. So what we call multi-orbit communications is what we're getting excited about here at CABSAT.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about it. I think I had a guest here earlier who also spoke about it. I'm guessing that's going to be the future trend.
Absolutely. We see, and I guess, what's really kind of key for us is also, again, the idea of this terminal. What is the terminal you use? You want that terminal to be able to communicate not just to the geostationary satellites, but also to the LEO. And that is what we're doing on the IoT, because that will be both GEO and LEO. But in fact, all of the terminals, as we go forward through this year and next year, all the terminals, basically just one single device will be able to communicate with multiple different types of satellites. So it is the tendency in the big trend in the industry. And it's and the good thing is it's going to make things much better and much easier for our customers and our users. And that's kind of where the excitement should be. Yeah.
So what are unique challenges and opportunities that you see in the region and globally in the industry?
Look, this is a region which has, kind of in many ways, it's a very, very diverse region. We look at this region, we look everywhere from kind of Morocco all the way, you know, almost as far as Pakistan. And there's very, very different levels of income, very different levels of development. So it's really about finding the right type of solution and the right type of economics, because you can talk about technology, but also it's finding the level of economics, because you've got this massive variation. You know, you come to Dubai and you've got the, you know, I was walking around last night, and it's so futuristic when you're here, and you think, this is the city of the future. This is the way all our cities are going to be in a couple of years' time. And you see kind of the very, very developed demand for technology. But then we've got to realize that in this region as well, there's a lot of people who are lacking very, very basic connectivity. So, you know, there's different, and that places challenges on our technology, and it places challenges on us commercially. How can we, you know, have the inclusion to bring those people into the modern digital world while also delivering the type of, you know, next generation services with flat antennas that talk to multiple satellites to the more advanced. It's a big challenge. But, you know, I think satellite operators, you know, we've always looked at that, you know, tried to deal with those different markets and the different levels of complexity. So that's kind of one of the big challenges we see in this region.
Okay. How does your solution or your services meet these challenges and opportunities?
So, again, that is, you know, we look at a whole range of connectivity options. And you know, the reality is that people today, if you look at the lower end, people say connect via their cell phone. That is people's first choice of connectivity. So a very significant part of our business is connecting cell towers. People who live in villages or areas that have poor terrestrial connectivity, they're not going to have a sophisticated satellite device. They're going to have a cell phone, which might be a second or third generation phone. So so one big focus for us is what we call the cell backhaul business, connecting cell towers to ensure that those cell towers that are outside the grid of a normal telecommunications infrastructure can connect, so the people in that village, in that area, can be connected. And that is often the first time you will see people getting connectivity.
Yeah.
And that is a business we're quite on. We connect 15,000 towers globally. We connect many across this region. But that is how you bring those people into the digital world. So that's kind of the lower end. But then obviously at the higher end, you know, we're dealing with, you know, the VIP services for the top end. And that is, you know, the highly mobile devices where I can put on my car, put on my yacht, and that guarantee no matter where I go, or put on my my private jet, I can have coverage and connectivity wherever I go. So yes, our network is kind of multi-application. It's different kind of sets of economics. It's different sets of terminals. It's different sets of solutions. But I think we're kind of proud of the fact that we are able to deliver across that very diverse set of user requirements.
Okay, great. And what do you hear visitors talking about this year at CAP?
What's interesting, we've had a busy morning, and just, you know, we've seen, you know, visitors in from all parts of the region. I would say the two, obviously, you know, we talk to people what we want to talk about, and there is definitely a much greater interest in satellite. And I've been to this show a number of times.
Yeah. I
feel as though the show is much more lively and dynamic. There is a satellite focus here. A number of years ago, you would say the satellite industry was kind of declining, and people weren't really thinking about the new use cases.
Yeah.
But there's been a kind of a new dynamism, a new level of investment. You know, a lot of the big names around the world are investing in satellite. And I think that is making people think about what are the applications and use cases. So we're hearing much more conversations about those end use cases. And, you know, there's a lot of things happening in space. You know, people are very interested in drones, UAVs, and how do I connect those? And how do I monitor? And the idea, I think people now have lost this idea that there are things that are outside the connectivity grid. And when you stop thinking that there's a limit to the connectivity grid, then you start to think about much more applications, and also the amount of information that you can get about assets which are outside, for example, the cellular networks. And then people start thinking about applications. So I think there's a much greater dynamism about the satellite industry and what the applications that the satellite world can bring. So that is definitely for me a big change compared to, maybe we could say 4 to 5 years ago when I was coming here.
So you can say the satellite industry has had a rebirth, so to speak.
Satellite industry has had a rebirth. That is a very, very good way of putting it. We were often kind of the ugly child of the telecommunications industry. We were kind of a little bit over in the corner. It's the satellite guys. They got these dishes and they got these big things out there. And now that it's very different. It's very different, and it's different because the ease of use. And again, you're talking about this idea of flat panels. I think the equipment looks a little bit more like terrestrial equipment. It works. It supports the same protocols and applications, and you get the quality of service that you get is now much closer to what you might have got previously on terrestrial. So all of that progress is making it just a lot more relevant to people. So yes, it's rebirth, but a lot of that rebirth has come through a lot of investment and a lot of progress.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much for joining us, Gerry. It's a pleasure talking to you.
My pleasure too.
And good luck with the rest of the show.
Okay, and you too. Have a great show.